Hello, and welcome back to Vox Terra. Today, I want to share with you a super important article that I'm going to bullet point and break down for you in really clear fashion that is going to just make clear for you and help you articulate what President Eisenhower warned us about so long ago. That is the military-industrial complex, meaning that revolving door between industry, military contracting industry that is, and the government, but also what Eisenhower left out or wasn't maybe as aware of at the time, and that Noam Chomsky highlighted for us, that further connection between the military-industrial complex, the government, and the media, the privately owned or privately sponsored media outlets. So from the Intercept, the article is titled, "Cable News Military Experts Are on the Defense Industry Dole," August 19th, 2021. Now this article really mainly focuses on military experts or so-called experts that are trotted out and brought into the media, especially cable news media like Fox News, but also print media, in the immediate wake, as they call it, of the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan and the U.S. withdrawal. But the main point of this article and the main gist of it is that these defense industry or these military experts who come out there to criticize, they want scathing, they focus on those who are giving scathing reviews of the withdrawal. And they're pointing out that these experts they're not disclosing, and they're not being asked to disclose, and the hosts are not disclosing their ties to that military-industrial complex, to those private defense industry contractors and businesses. Now, we don't have to just limit it to this Afghan withdrawal. We can actually go further than that, and I'll give you one citation at the end that's not coming from the Intercept. But let me start with the first military expert they highlight. Retired four-star General Jack Keane appeared on Fox News. Neither Keane nor the host mentioned that he's a former board member at weapons maker General Dynamics, is chair of AM General, the company that makes Humvees, and he sits on the boards of Siloam Technologies, which manufactures military chemical lights. And Keane also sits on the Institute for the Study of War, a think tank that publishes defense industry proposals. But this think tank is also funded or backed by CACI International, as well as General Dynamics, defense industry contractors. Also, Patreaus, retired four-star General Patreaus, appeared on Fox News, but left out. Patreaus serves on the board of Optiv Security, a large cybersecurity firm that contracts with the Department of Defense, and is a partner at KKR and Company, a global private equity firm with assets in the defense sector. In early 2020, KKR bought Navaria Group, a corporation holding a growing number of aerospace manufacturers. Now, I just want to point out aerospace manufacturers because that's always disheartening for me because, this military-industrial complex, but it's also tied up with that aerospace industry, which to me is a hopeful industry in that it looks towards space and something that could really benefit the long-term survival of the species. But here we have this problem with profit motive getting tangled up with warfare. Another expert, Richard Haass, who worked as an advisor to then Secretary of State Colin Powell, who you might remember from the invasion of Iraq, and former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. Condoleezza Rice, if you're one of the few people, and let's be honest with ourselves, because I opposed that Iraq invasion, and I'll tell you, it was tough. If you're one of the few people who opposed that Iraq invasion, I believe Condoleezza Rice's words are going to be emblazoned into your memory. When Haass was on MSNBC this time, he was described as the president of the Council on Foreign Relations, but the host did not mention that he sits on the board of investment firm Lazard, which actively serves companies in the industrial sector, including aerospace and defense. Nor did the MSNBC host mention his role with Palantir, a leading tech firm in the defense intelligence space. Another expert, Leon Panetta, former Secretary of Defense, appeared on CNN, and he was referred to by his prior service to Democrats, but The host did not mention or question about his role as senior counselor to Beacon Global Strategies. Beacon Global Strategies, a defense consulting firm, or as a member of software corporation Oracle. That's kind of a bummer to hear Oracle thrown into the mix. And I did hear the company Oracle mentioned also as its founder or something like that supporting Donald Trump. Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. Secretary of State under George W. Bush. Took to the pages of the Washington Post, but left off her bio was her service on the board of C3AI, a defense contractor. And Condoleezza Rice, again, if you remember that Iraq invasion, boy, was she a cheerleader for it. And the article goes on to highlight former members of Congress, such as former Senator Kelly Ayotte, Republican, New Hampshire, spoke to the New Age Journal, appeared on Fox News, but these outlets that gave Ayotte a platform did not disclose that she currently serves as a board member to BAE Systems, Inc., the U.S. subsidiary of the British defense conglomerate. A British defense conglomerate that has raked in substantial defense contracts throughout the war in Afghanistan, including a $50 million contract to provide U.S. intelligence services for U.S. troops stationed in Afghanistan. $2.7 billion contract for the production of advanced precision kill weapon system. And a $21.9 million contract for services related to maintaining armored vehicles used in Afghanistan. Okay, so none of that disclosed. So after some of these bullet points I shared with you, I just want to add, well, what about our current Defense Secretary, Llyod Austin? As I showed you in an earlier video and cited to a few news outlets, a lot of people on what I call the true left, meaning those who are, criticizing the domination of our society by these powerful moneyed interests, or peace activists, did not want Llyod Austin appointed to that position because he sat on the board of Raytheon, as I remember. So again, current Defense Secretary was connected to a defense industry contractor, Raytheon. So think about that when you hear Llyod Austin or even Joe Biden, rattling the saber at China and applauding this arms deal they just made with Australia to sell a bunch of nuclear-powered submarines. And think about that, nuclear-powered submarines and radioactive waste and that kind of thing. So back to my original point, the media and a lot of politicians are really given towards getting the public riled up and rattling their saber at a foreign adversary. And you want to think, well, okay, just entangle in your head, to what point are we actually threatened and in need of protecting ourselves? But to what point is this actually a manipulation or a self-fulfilling prophecy even, to bolster these defense industry contractors? And even bigger, to what point does it distract from change at home? Take the example with Condoleezza Rice and the election of George W. Bush. Well, George W. Bush made fun of Al Gore because of his, concern about the environment, calling him Ozone Al. A sizable percentage of the public voted for George W. Bush. He got in office with his macho attitude, walked away from that Kyoto Climate Accord, and instead invaded Iraq, basically doubling down on our commitments to fossil fuel, in addition to all the people that were killed and lives disrupted. So hey, I hope you found this video super helpful. And if you did, please make sure you're subscribed, you're liking, you're commenting. You know when I'm putting up a new video by subscribing. And until next time, as always, peace be with you.